Hector Bravo, unhinged. Chaos is now in session.
Welcome back to our channels, Warriors. Today, another banger back to back. We have a guy that was a former Upland police officer, undercover narc that did all kinds of operations, Ontario PD, and would eventually go be law enforcement in Arizona, man. Dude has a full resume. His name's Daryl. What up, Daryl?
What's up, man? Thanks for having me.
Thanks for making that trip out here, dude. I didn't know you were going to commute.
Yeah, it wasn't bad, bro. See, once I get on that freeway, start going west.
Yeah.
It's a nice ride on the 8 right there from where I'm at.
Oh, yeah. Pass by the Imperial Valley,
Imperial Valley, El Centro, all the way through, what is it, Julian, and all the mountains and everything. It's nice right there, dude. All those ranches.
So where did you grow up at, dude?
So I was born in Glendora, California.
Okay.
I lived there until I was about 3, and then my dad wanted a bigger house because I have an older sister and a little brother. So we moved out to the inland from there.
So you're the middle child?
Middle child.
All right.
Yep.
Out of 3?
Out of 3.
Okay.
Yeah, so we moved out to Rancho Cucamonga, which was a pretty established area. But my dad bought a tract. He found a tract of homes there were 2-story homes in the older part of town. So it was a new build, but like in the barrio kind of.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's where I grew up at. From there, from like 5 years old all the way through my early college years.
Where'd you go to college at?
So my first year I played at Chaffee College. I was a pitcher, played baseball, junior college ball. Then I played at Citrus for a year, another community college. And then I played at University of Laverne for 2 years.
Oh, damn.
Which is a D3. Wasn't the best student, but wanted to pitch, you know.
How were you academically in high school and in college?
Terrible.
Terrible?
Yeah.
Terrible, mediocre, or okay?
Have you heard the expression C's get degrees?
Never heard that expression.
All right. Well, that was me, bro. I was just doing enough to play ball, you know. And
is that because you weren't applying yourself or because you found the material difficult?
I wasn't applying myself.
Okay.
I just was not interested, man. I just wanted to play baseball.
Yeah.
And I thought I was going to be a pro ball player one day, and not thinking like, well, if that falls through, what else are you going to do? You know.
So you didn't like think past that?
I had like all my chips were stacked on being a pro ball player.
Okay.
I was throwing hard when I was younger. I was hitting the 90s, and then I hurt my shoulder in college. And then I'm like, all right, well, baseball got my foot in the door at Laverne because they wouldn't let me in with my grades. Like, my grades were not good enough to get in there. It's more of like an Ivy League type of school. So played 1 year there, realized like, okay, my arm's hurting. I'm not going to go play pro ball. So like, what am I going to do now, you know? So I ended up finishing my business degree there.
Was it one injury or a series of prolonged?
I can kind of remember like the one time I felt a pinch, man.
Oh, man.
You know, and like where me and my buddy were playing catch, and he's getting further and further away. We're actually at Newport Beach, and there's a big grass field at Balboa, and we're trying to throw it all the way across this field. And I remember just letting one go as hard as I could. And I remember like, oh, something didn't feel right, you know?
Yeah.
And then I go back to practice the next day, and I'm like, oh man, like I think I might have partially torn something. So I played around with trying different arm levels and everything like that, but it was
How old were you at that time?
I graduated high school when I was 17. So I was, the way my birthday fell, it was in September. Right. I think it was 19.
You were 19? What about when you injured your arm playing college sports in college?
About 20.
20?
Uh-huh.
How did that make you feel mentally?
It sucked, dude, because it was like you're used to being able to overpower batters and stuff like that, you know, and you're used to being kind of like the man on the mound. And now all of a sudden you're having to find different ways to like finesse and where your arm don't hurt. I tried throwing down from down here, tried throwing different angles, and my shoulder was still hurt. So it was like there was a gear shift going on in my head now. Like, what am I going to do now? You know, like I had put everything in baseball. And in hindsight, it's kind of silly. It's like the percentage of people that make it to the pros is pretty small, right?
No, it's not silly. I really want to know, like, at the age when you put all your chips in one basket and you're passionate about something, and then, you know, unfortunately, because it's not uncommon, right? A lot of people encounter these types of situations. Did it devastate you, or did it like take you out of commission, or were you able to focus?
I was able to focus. Yeah, I mean, I had some times where I was like, I'm going to miss baseball, you know? And, but the way I was brought up, my dad and my mom were always right there and encouraging me to,
that's good, dude.
to jump into the next thing, you know? My dad did, like I said, he did Air Force 30 years at McDonnell Douglas. No, Air Force for a couple years.
Yeah.
And then worked at McDonnell Douglas and Boeing as a mechanic. So he always instilled that work ethic in me. So I knew, not to sound cocky, but I knew like whatever I chose to do, like I'm gonna go hard at it. You know.
So you just got to make a shift. You have to make a shift at that point.
Yep, 100%.
And what shift did you decide to make? What was it? What was your next eye on the prize?
So I still didn't know what I wanted to do, and everybody's telling me, hey, if you get a business degree, that's a very versatile one. You know, you just get that degree and just that piece of paper, and you get your foot in the door. You know, wherever. So I'm like, all right. So I made my way through, got the business degree, and during this time, before I finished the degree, law enforcement started coming to my head. You know, I grew up in an area in Rancho Cucamonga called the Dog Patch. It's the older part of the area. There's a Sereno gang there. They're not big in numbers, but the sheriff's department was on my street like every other day, bro. Ghetto bird every night, foot pursuits through my backyard. And I remember seeing those guys and thinking, I just like the way they look in uniform. I like the way they carry themselves, you know, and it was intriguing to me. And I thought, given my background and growing up where I grew up, I could excel at this, you know?
Yeah.
Because I'm not coming from like some rich neighborhood where I've never seen a crook, you know?
Right.
Like I grew up in it and I could have went one way or the other. I mean, there was a time when being a cholo looked kind of cool, you know? Like so I started really getting that law enforcement idea in my head. So
At the time, how were those sheriffs conducting themselves or carrying themselves? Like assholes or like professionals?
So this would have been, my memory of it was probably the mid-90s.
Yeah.
And they weren't assholes, but they weren't taking no shit either. You know, like
that's a good then.
Yeah, they carried themselves a certain way.
Right.
I don't remember seeing any fat cops. I don't remember seeing any dirty boots. You know, shiny, gig lines straight, all that stuff. You know, and that's appealing to me being a kid. And then I remember knowing friends that had dads and they were cops or moms that were cops, and they made a decent living from what I could tell. You know, I didn't crunch the numbers, but I'm like, you know what? I think I could do this and provide for my family, and I think I could be good at it.
From your perspective and experience, why do you think law enforcement has gotten away as a whole from looking fit, looking sharp, looking clean cut and presentable?
I think a lot of it has to do with hiring standards and trying to just fill spots. You know, I mean, some agencies are trying to get their sworn numbers up to a certain number, right?
Yeah.
So they're hiring, they're lowering their standards little by little, and then some people are passing training they probably shouldn't have passed training, and then next thing you know, year after year, you have that cycle, and now you're like, what the hell happened to the department? Like, this used to be a bunch of pipe hitting type dudes. Now we got a bunch of dudes that look like the
pie eating type of dudes.
Yeah. I was gonna say Michelin man.
Them too.
Yeah, but I think it was just
pipe hitting to pie eating, dude.
Right. And then you know, California specifically, you start to see like cops getting in trouble for things.
Right.
And so a lot of the good guys that are probably, I think, that are thinking about getting into it, they're like, I'm not gonna go do that. Like,
right.
Why? I'm gonna get sued and lose my house,
or go to end up in fucking prison.
Or the ones that were hard chargers, they take the fight out of them.
Absolutely.
They didn't take it out of me. I kept going hard the whole time. Because,
you did?
Yeah. Because I know I can justify whatever I'm doing.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
We'll cross that bridge when we get there. So at what point did you apply, and what agency did you apply first?
Yeah, so I applied for basically Ontario and Upland at the same time.
Okay.
In 2010. I'm sorry, the end of 2009.
End of 2009?
Mm-hmm. Had Ontario actually hit me up first, and I went and did the oral board. I had smoked marijuana too recent for their 3-year cutoff. I think I smoked like two and a half years prior to that. I'd smoked, I don't know.
Was a polygraph part of that examination?
That was just in the oral. I admitted that, the oral interview.
And that's before the polygraph? Or is there even a polygraph in these?
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
Okay.
That's at the very end, though.
Okay.
For us. So they said, hey, you know, you look good. Everything looks good on paper, but the marijuana use is just too soon. So I waited, and then all of a sudden Upland popped up as hiring. And it was the perfect timing because the 3 years had passed. So I applied for Upland, took the test score. Back then they had they'd give you a T score for the post-pellet B test, and I got a high score on that. I studied my ass off on this thing, dude. Like the one thing I actually ever tried for academically, I got a police exam book from Barnes & Noble. I studied the hell out of it. And the chief then at the time, he said I had the highest score he'd ever seen.
Damn.
So next thing you know, passed the physical agility tests, and I'm in the academy. April 2010.
April 2010. Where was the academy located?
We most agencies in that area send their trainees to San Bernardino County Sheriffs.
San Bernardino County Sheriffs.
Yes, Frank Bland Training Center.
And is that a mixture of like different agencies going through a pipeline?
Yeah, so the Sheriff's Department basically owns the training, but the local agencies send their dudes through there.
Do they keep the different agencies separated, or they're all mixed?
You're all mixed.
You're all mixed.
I mean, they even give you tan and green. They don't care if you're a PD.
Oh, really?
Everybody's tan and green. They'll let you put your shoulder patch on where you're from, but
really,
everybody's tan and green until later on, like basically almost swearing. You'll start to be able to wear your blues if you're a PD.
Did it appear militarized, the academy?
Oh yeah. Dude, we formed up, and I mean, mind you, I got a couple tips before I went. My dad's buddy was in the Marine Corps, and we're in formation, and I'm like waiting there, like, what the hell's it happening? I'm waiting for them to come out yelling. They threw like 3 flashbang grenades right in the middle of all of us.
Really? Because 2010, America was still normal at that time.
Yeah.
It didn't start going crazy until 2012.
Yeah.
Kind of put my eye.
It started getting a little weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, those flashbangs wasn't off, and I'm like, shit, is this what I really want to do? Like, and they came out and started yelling, bro. I mean, yelling, like, in your face, spit going in your eye, like, hardcore.
Was there a lot of candidates?
I want to say we started, I'm going to probably screw this number up, but.
I mean, you don't need a number. Like, I mean, when you look around, there are a lot of people.
Yeah, there was a full formation, bro. It was probably 60 people in formation.
So a lot of people.
Yeah.
Anybody quit?
Oh, yeah.
Out of sheer weakness or fear? Because, like, hey, you know what? I realize this ain't for me.
Yeah, there's quite a few the next day that didn't come. Yeah, they didn't come back, you know, and I think they had a gut check because you're thinking it's a 23-week academy, right?
23-week academy?
Uh-huh.
How many fucking months is 23 weeks, dude?
I told you I'm not good at school with Hector. I think that's like 6 months, though, or something like that right there, like almost 6 months, yeah.
No way, bro. Yeah. Are you getting paid a paycheck?
Yeah, you're getting paid. Well, most people are.
Let me ask you this. So I know that a person can put themselves through an academy, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then another one, the agency sponsors you to go through.
Right.
Is that what you were going through?
Yeah, I was sponsored by Upland PD.
By Upland.
But there was a few dudes that were putting themselves through.
And are you getting paid any type of monetary?
Yeah, I'm getting paid.
From who? From Upland PD?
Yep, the city of Upland.
And you're getting paid what? Like academy pay scale?
It's
recruit?
It's not quite like base officer pay. It's a few dollars. I want to say it was like $27 an hour.
Then that's not bad if you're going to be going through some shitty experiences.
Especially for a dude like me, you know.
Right.
All I was doing before was Chick Sporting Goods, Big Five Sporting Goods, you know, flipping burgers, whatever. Right. So that's what got me through is I'm like, I can get yelled at for $27 an hour.
It's an incentive.
Can't hit me. You know what I mean?
Probably could hit you, but yeah, I hear what you're
they
saying.
probably could. But I'm thinking like, I can do this. You know, the yelling, they can only yell so much. So yeah, it was a good experience, man. Yeah.
What how was the driving portion for you? And did other people struggle
in the academy?
Yeah.
Driving.
Don't you got to do like this little circle?
Yeah, you got to do a pursuit circle. They have a skid pan where
all that
you learn how to overcorrect for what do you call it? When you're slipping on the highway.
Correct.
Yeah, you learn how to overcorrect on that. You get a little mock pursuit.
Right.
I didn't have any issues with it.
What about the firearms portion?
I was good at that. I had never shot a gun. I mean, a couple times with my dad out in Blythe, you know, in the desert, but like never really been officially shot. So I didn't have any bad habits, you know.
Oh, that's a good thing.
So
yeah,
right when I came in, we had the corporal was the range master, and his name was Corporal Warfield. All right, this fool was a former, all due respect, sir, if you're watching, former Marine named Corporal Warfield. Hard mofo, dude. Like he was good, and he just had it like just squared away, you know. So yeah, I picked up all the things they were teaching me, and I just applied them, and I was probably one of the better shots. I didn't get top shot, but I was up there.
Was there a high attrition rate? Were there still a lot of candidates remaining at the end, graduation?
I think we probably lost like maybe half the class.
God damn, dude.
Yeah. And that's the way it needed to be. I mean, because, you know.
Now, overall as a whole, I mean, you're learning post, you're learning penal code, tactics. How much is being embedded in you that when the job you're going into, the line of work, is no joke and your life can get lost?
It was a daily thing they're hammering into you. I mean, they'd walk up into your ear, you know, and say, "What are you still doing here? You can get fucking killed out there." And, you know, just trying to see what your reaction would be.
Right.
This ain't a joke when you get out there, you know. And
right.
Some people would break them down. You know, they start realizing, all right, because some people are going in for the paycheck, you know, or the status to look for the badge bunnies or whatever. But though, like,
I'm not even knocking those guys for quitting because hey, at least they realize
100%, yeah,
fucking this ain't for me, man.
I respect that more than just faking it and then getting out there and now you're
getting somebody hurt,
or 100%. You go hide and you don't go to the call and you know stuff like that. So
facts, dude.
Yeah.
Did you ever see any of that?
Oh yeah, dude.
Cops that hide.
We had cops circle calls. We used to call it. They circle, waiting for someone else to get there first.
So I have a theory. If I was ever a Chicago PD, I would just hide behind a 7-Eleven and then just wait till the shooting was over.
Oh, you said the AutoZone there on your video. That's where all the white people are?
yeah, bro.
I was busting out.
I would just fucking post up somewhere, man, and then just go clean up the mess afterwards. Yeah. My yellow tape and then...
Yeah, they call that Chirac over there. That's a whole different... that's a whole different ball. Yeah,
that's a strategy that I would approach.
Yeah.
So
we had guys doing that though.
I bet, dude.
I always wanted to be there first because I'm like,
no, I get it.
If chances are, if some fun's gonna be had, it's gonna be had by the first dude who gets there.
Correct.
You know. So
yeah. And what was your first? Well, how long is your field training as a Upland PD officer?
There's 4 phases, I believe.
4 phases.
4 phases. Each one's like 16 weeks. Is the FTO. Field training.
What are the phases? They take off the training wheels as you go along?
Yeah, like so first phase is, I mean, you're learning everything from the computer system, the paperwork, I mean, the city. It's a lot. I mean, it's like drinking through a fire hose, as they say, you know. Some FTOs won't even let their trainee drive until like a week or 2 in. They're like, no, you just sit there and mess with the computer, you know, like figure out learn how to talk on the radio without sounding new, you know, so... yeah, and I was lucky. I mean, my first training officer was a beast, dude. Like, he set the tone for the rest of my career, no doubt.
That individual? Like a mentor type of? Somebody to look up to?
Yeah, his name was Marcus Simpson. I'll never forget, man. He was a San Bernardino PD. He was Upland before, went to San Bernardino PD, which is hood. And everybody, like...
San Bernardino.
San Bernardino.
Yeah, but San Bernardino.
Bernardino, yeah. Yeah, we used to call it the Dirty Boo. But... dude, they had like 100 homicides a year. I mean,
absolutely.
West Side Verdugo, all that stuff, you know. So he had been in like 3 shootings over there. I think killed all 3 of them, paralyzed another. Like he had been in all kinds of stuff. So he was showing me like how to actually do the job. Like we're not playing games and like, oh, go take 20 statements that you don't even need. Like, no.
Oh, so he cut out the bullshit.
Cut the bullshit out.
And
like,
hey, motherfucker, this is what you need to do to survive and get through your day.
This is what you need to do to survive. He wrote great reports, you know. And articulate use of forces and all that. And he set the tone for everything for me.
Dude, you got lucky, bro.
Yeah, yeah. And most people don't have that opportunity.
Yeah.
You know? So, yeah, and I had good FTOs pretty much the whole time.
Now, how difficult is it to... because this seems like it would be difficult, man. Understanding where you're at, getting on the radio, knowing what cardinal direction you are.
Yeah.
How difficult is that?
It was difficult, and I was in a smaller town, you know. So the fear is like, if you don't know where you're going, and sometimes.
What do you mean by that?
Like there's like you're in a residential street or something, right? You're not on one of the main boulevards.
And you were unfamiliar with the residential area?
Yeah, because you would study your 100 blocks and all that, but they wouldn't let you use the map on the computer. So you had to memorize kind of where the east, west, and south dividers are.
What would be considered a 100 block? A main route?
Like a main route. So like let's say Foothill and Euclid, that's a divider for the town. 100 blocks start breaking up east and west as you go opposite directions. 100 east, 200 west. So that helps you kind of get in the general area where you got to go, right?
Now, at that time, were there any tricks or tips that they taught you guys?
There was like a street guide that you could use, but I mean, unless you had a photographic memory and like had it all down, it would just take time. You just got to get used to it, you know?
Yeah.
So that was my fear is like, I'm new, and if somebody's crying out for help, that was my thing, is not being able to get there in time and help somebody. Like the call can wait, you know. Officer time can handle the call. Enough time passes, that call's gone. But if a partner's screaming out for help, like I wanted to be there. So, but I got it down. I used to drive around on my days off.
You did?
I lived in the neighboring city, Rancho and Upland, about like butt up to each other.
So you used to, on your own time, familiarize yourself with the area.
Yep.
And I think that's the difference between people that excel in whatever they're doing or not. It's when they take their own time and dedicate something to a craft.
Yeah. Yeah, I would drive around, man, and I would even look for good stops and stuff. I'm in my own car. I can't pull them over, but I'm just like getting used to kind of looking around.
That's so cool, man. I mean, like, I totally respect that and understand that, especially because you're utilizing your gas money. But if you think about it, that's the type of shit that'll keep you alive and your partner's alive.
Yeah, and that's all I cared about was
priceless.
that, and just being a good dude, so your partners can count on you.
Right.
That was everything. I didn't care about rank. I didn't care about any of that. I just wanted them to know, hey, if I need Daryl, he's going to be there. You know, I never set out with like, oh, one day I want to be chief. Or that was never my aspirations. I just wanted to go out and work hard and be a good dude, be a good partner.
I wanted to ask you another question about the area. You said officer time or the calls will go away. Is there any calls that just continue to pester where they don't go away? And they'll just continue to call the dispatch and be like,
yeah, there's those types of calls that'll noise complaints typically, man.
Which one? Noise complaints?
Noise complaints. It's usually some crazy lady that hears a cat on her roof or something, you know. And so I would try to get them to come outside because I'm pretty sure they're high, right?
Right.
If I can get them to come outside, I'll bounce them out. And I'm gonna take them to the big house.
You would?
If they're high, because that'll stop them calling the cops.
Even if they're high in their own house?
If they come outside, they ain't in their house.
Oh shit, bro!
You know what I mean? It's you're in your public now, so like they got kind of hip to that trick, you know, so they won't come out.
Did?
But well, we had one lady that would call constantly, and finally, I'm like, this chick's on dope, man. Like, no, she's not. She's crazy. So one night she invites us in, and you under the influence of a controlled substance, you can't even be in your own pad in California.
I didn't even know that.
Drunk.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, drunk in public you can. But under the influence of a controlled substance, so meth, heroin.
So basically, nobody can be under the influence of a controlled substance.
If like I wouldn't go there just to come knock on the door, and be like, hey, are you high? But if I'm there,
right, because of probable cause and fucking Fourth Amendment.
If I'm there for a lawful purpose, you know, and she said, come in, I'm hearing this, and I'm like checking the attic, and I'm like,
what's the charge on that?
11550, Health and Safety Code 11550.
Oh, bro,
you use that in the corrections, right?
You're legit. I don't know, bro. We just fucking left them in the cell.
Yeah,
motherfuckers high. Don't let them out. Cap the cell.
Yeah, I feel you. Yeah, hey, problem solver.
Yeah.
So I'll never forget. I'm like, this lady's high, you know. And they're like, no. And they'd been on like 10 calls a day on this lady.
We're probably thinking 2011, 2012, the time frame about this.
Yep. This is before Prop 47 and all that bullshit.
Okay, before Prop 47. Now, what about mental health and homelessness? Because as you can see right now, it is fucking zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
Back then it wasn't, huh? Or was it? From what you were seeing in the street cop.
Now. It's worse now.
But was it prevalent? Was it around? Was it a thing?
When I first started, the mental health didn't. It was mostly junkies, bro. Like it was, we'd have our the stereotypical hypes,
right?
You know, or tweakers,
Tecatos, heroin addicts.
Yeah, on the black, and then we got tweakers. They were, and then
on
every
the
now
bikes.
and then, yeah, dude, you see a guy on a bike at night,
3 a.m.
Yeah, but
I'm from Brawley.
Might as well just throw them the cuss and have him hook himself. Brawley. Yeah, I know exactly. So and then we did run into some weird stuff every now and then, like Spice. Every now and then, because it first hit the smoke shops and people were smoking it. I drive up the street with some dude butt ass naked walking, just that PCP stare, and I'm like, I only had a year on. I'm like, hey, Paul, whatever, you know, I got a guy naked in the middle of the street, so I'm parking. He proned out, but I was thinking I'm gonna have to tase this naked dude. But.
Did that agency have a partner? Because some agencies don't have partners, right?
Yeah, we rode solo, one per car.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your take on whether a person rides solo or does not ride solo? Hey guys, consider becoming a patron where you will get first exclusive dibs on the video before it airs to the public, and you'll get to ask the guests special questions that you have in mind. So that's also another way to support the channel. Thank you guys. Appreciate all of you. Keep pushing forward. Make sure you hit that link in the description below.
I can see pluses to both, man.
Okay.
I mean, the good thing with the 2-man unit, every now and then we do a 2-man unit, and we call it a felony car. So you weren't going to calls. You were just proactive, going and trying to find parolees at large. That was a big thing. I don't even know if anyone's on parole anymore, but
it doesn't. Nothing matters anymore, bro. There's no more laws here in California.
We'd have a list of pals, you know, parolee at large, and we go look for them, and so we'd go 2-man on those. So it was nice having your back there right away. All right, But if you get a partner you don't like, it's like,
bro, the time frame you're talking about is so weird because it's like, hey, you actually see a parolee at large, you do the right thing and you book them, and then you fucking.
oh, dude, yeah.
Now that doesn't happen anymore.
Sad, man. I'll tell you this: we had a dude that was always a pal.
So,
Every time I seen him, he was a pal.
So I think now in 2025, if you have a parolee at large, you just give them a gift card to Walmart and then you walk away.
Yeah. That's they call it the Hug a Thug program.
So I don't know what the fuck it is, man, but that's literally what they do.
I can't even wrap my head around that, dude. Like that was all we were looking for, because they're gonna run a parolee that's absconding. Like that dude's gonna take off. You know
what? Race, ethnicity. What was like the breakdown?
Where I was at?
Yeah, like
in Upland,
gang wise, yeah.
Upland's gangs they only had one homegrown gang there. There was Upland Ghost Town, I believe, or Upland Outlaws, and they were really low in numbers, man. Like,
but what ethnicity? What race? Hispanic.
Yep. We had some Nazi lowriders too that lived up in the higher up area, but they had already locked it up by then. I think there's a couple big name guys that I ended up looking up later. And you stop them, they're OGs. You know, they'd put you up on game, and tell you about stuff, but that's all I would use them for. They weren't doing anything anymore. You know, so yeah.
So, at what point did you become aware of the narc group?
So, when I first started, I was just like, when I first got on my own, I'm just trying to I'm writing tickets at first. You know, like, oh, stop sign. You know, Sarge is gonna be happy. Look, I turn on the stop sign.
You ever have angry customers?
Oh yeah. Because you start writing fix-it tickets, dude, and window tint, and your personal car's got tint. You know, like. So we stopped doing that because they come complaining. Well, your cop's got window tint. You know? Yeah. So, I shortly after I finally got my feet wet, I'm like, all right, I need to hone my scope of focus in here.
Spirit of the law versus letter of the law.
Exactly. And I need to go after what I started this for, right? So I started looking around for tweakers, and I mean, anybody can spot one. And, you know.
Was there any satisfaction from taking a tweaker off the streets? Or did you just see it as a job duty?
There was, because I worked graveyard almost my whole patrol career at Upland was graveyard. So 1 or 2 in the morning, you see one of these dudes on a bike. That's a burglar.
Is it a burglar though?
Potentially.
Okay.
You might be preventing a burglary. True. You know what I mean? Or door handle checking, or
okay.
Copper wire.
I hear you.
Copper wire was a big thing.
Catalytic converters.
Catalytic converters, bro. So that's the way I looked at it. And if you're in a busy city where you're getting your call volume's high and you're getting some priority 1 calls, you probably don't want to be running all these tweakers in, right? But if there ain't nothing else to do, there's only good guys and bad guys out. Run them in.
Makes sense.
And back in those days, 2 under the influence arrests would put them on probation.
Didn't even know that.
So if you got them twice, 2 convictions, they're on probation. Now they got search terms.
Now I want you to break down to me, from a legal perspective, about the Fourth Amendment, the right to see reasonable cause, probable cause, and then how that varies with parolees at large, fourth waivers.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's still the same.
But like from your knowledge and experience.
Parolees had no rights, you know, and it was, if they got stopped on foot, subject to search. You know, we didn't have to call their agent and say, they got search terms. And if you're on parole, you've waived that right. Like, what I used to tell guys is you should still be in prison. Like, you're just out here because somebody voted you to come out here or whatever. So we would search them. They search their cars. Yeah, they didn't have any rights, man.
What kind of stuff would you find? Guns, dope, drug paraphernalia?
Parolees a lot?
Yeah. Knives. What would you find?
So back then they had the Penal Code 12020. You remember that?
No.
It was a prohibited weapons charge. So
oh yeah.
That covered everything. So Dirk and Dagger, Billy Club. You know, you find a parolee, the cholo rolling around with a little Dodger.
The little baseball bat?
Little Dodger bat. Oh, it's a Billy Club. Could be. You know?
Right, correct.
So some guys would get creative like that. I'm not saying, you know, but
yeah.
And then a lot of them get right back in the game, man. I mean,
yeah.
You know, they might get a little better at their hiding spot or something like that, but they're going back to what they know, you know. And a lot of times,
creatures of habit.
And if you get out and you got no money, and the only thing you know is a dope game, and you know that you can go buy and flip a sack real quick to get some money, then, you know.
If a during your experience, if a parolee was in possession of a cell phone, do you have the right to go through his cell phone?
Back then, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and we used to be able to search phones incident to arrest also.
What does that mean?
So after they're in custody,
Yeah.
So after they're in custody, you can search their person, and before you take them to jail and all that, their phone we could search just for them being under arrest. And the laws changed and then said, now you need a search warrant for that.
For the parolees or for anybody?
No, just for anybody.
Hold on. So a regular civilian gets arrested, you were able to go through their phone?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hell no.
Back then, yeah.
No way.
Yep. And it wouldn't really be needed unless you're like working on a sales case, right?
Okay.
Like if you're looking for, because payout sheets weren't a thing anymore. Like it was, all the drug transactions were on their phone. So let's say you got a sack of dope and a scale, and you're like, I think this dude's selling dope. So you hook them on the dope, and then you start going to their phone and seeing, hey, somebody's setting them up for a dub, or then that would be evidence of sales.
Right. So. And which is could be used as evidence in court?
Yeah. So I usually take like a still photo of the text and then tag the whole phone in evidence, and the DA could the DA could get all of it later on.
Damn.
Yeah. That's how I started cutting my teeth in the dope.
I'm starting to see that, man. Yeah. So, what was the process of going over to that dope unit?
So the way I looked at it is there's only 2 spots from Upland on that team. All right, so it's Ontario.
There's only 2 spots?
Yeah, so 2 officers from Upland go to that Ontario task force.
Okay.
Ontario was like the big dog in town, right?
Okay.
Because they were 400 sworn. They had Black Angels. They had plenty of MA guys that came out of there. So it was their team. We were just there to help out with any issues in Upland, and also we got a piece of the asset forfeiture if they got a good seizure or whatnot. So what I did is I just put my head down and just kept trying to get as many dope hooks as I could, because I'm like, if you want to be a traffic cop, write tickets. If you want to be a dope cop, make dope arrests, you know?
Yeah.
And gang, you know, we used to get gang enhancements and anything we could try to do. So that's what I focused on, man. I wanted to lead in arrests with dope arrests and flipping informants and figuring out where it's coming from and all that. So, yeah. So 5 years on, I got a chance to test for that.
5 years on, you got a chance to go over there. Is there a selection process?
Yeah. So there's a panel. It's 2 Ontario brass. Yeah.
Brass or narc cops or narc brass?
I don't know. That term brass is like a bad word now, dude.
No, brass. I hear what you're saying.
No,
upper management.
Yeah.
I mean, brass. That's
yeah. I think there was 2 sergeants, honestly. So
okay.
2 sergeants and then an upland lieutenant, if I remember right.
Okay.
And yeah, they just asked you questions in there, like kind of what your experience is. What have you done to prepare for this? And I'm like, well, and I've made this. I already knew how many dope cases I've made.
They probably heard of you through word of mouth.
Yeah. And then I'll never forget. They asked me like, what's one word to describe yourself? And I'm like, damn, that's one thing I didn't prepare for. Like, it was weird. You know, I'm like, chameleon.
You fucking said chameleon?
They're like chameleon. I'm like, yeah, because like I can morph into anything I need to be. Like, you know, if I'm going undercover, I could change colors. And I'm like, I was like trying to justify that stupid one-word answer, bro. And they were like they liked it. Yeah, but I'm like, we said one word, not one animal, bro, or one reptile.
Chameleon, bro. Yeah. I like it.
Right? I don't know where that came from or why I said that, man, but yeah, it just flowed out. So
it was a competitive process. Like you were going heads up against other candidates.
Yeah, there was quite a few people that were testing for it. I kind of set myself apart just because there's people testing for it. They're like, I'm not gonna get it. Daryl's gonna get it. Like,
okay,
he's been crushing it, but they would put in for it.
Okay.
Probably just in case I go bomb the interview or something, you know.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
I say chameleon, and they just get this guy the hell out of here,
bro.
Yeah, so it was competitive, and me and my buddy who I went to the academy with, he was also a good dope cop. We both got it.
Oh, that's cool, dude.
Yeah. I was best man in his wedding.
That's awesome, bro.
Yeah,
it's like the movie End of Watch.
Yeah, exactly, bro. Yep. So, yeah, I was stoked, man, when I got that spot because your whole life changes.
So as a police officer, you're wearing a uniform, correct? Mm-hmm. When you go to the narc unit, what are you wearing?
Plain clothes.
Plain clothes.
Plain clothes, unmarked car. Take home.
Unmarked car.
Mm-hmm. Take home.
Now, I'm sure you were reporting to work at Upland Police Station prior.
Yeah, so yeah, exactly.
And now where are you reporting?
So now I'm reporting to Ontario PD has an off-site dope location.
Yeah, don't be giving up no...
They did. It's actually not there anymore.
Okay.
So I can talk about it. It was fun. It was called the Zoo.
The Zoo?
The Zoo.
Well, I mean, what can you tell us about it?
Yeah. So you know, Safariland, like the company that makes Sam Browns and all that. So there was a Safariland building in Ontario that's got the zoo print all around the top, like giraffes and all kinds of zoo animals. So there was a bay that the PD paid for that they called the zoo. That's where all the narcs went. No one's supposed to know it's there. I think over the years, someone left the bay door open and probably seen us dressing out, putting on our getting ready to serve.
What did it look like inside, like a warehouse?
Yeah, it looked like a warehouse. So you pull in and there's parking right here. There's like a table that we go brief at.
Oh, it's like Den of Thieves, bro.
Yeah, exactly like that. And then we'd walk upstairs and that's where our little desks were.
You guys had desks?
You had a little desk where you keep your caseload and
you have lockers or gear equipment?
Yeah, there was lockers downstairs. We kept all our equipment in our car though, because sometimes we'd have to hit a warrant on the fly, and you throw your vest on and your helmet. And
any workout equipment in that zoo?
No, straight prison, bro. Burpees, push-ups.
In there though?
No, I'm just kidding. No, at the station, they had a gym. Yeah, so yeah.
Were you guys getting any workouts at the zoo? Or you just always so busy and on the go?
We were on the go a lot. And then back in those days, it was kind of like, you know, there was a lot of older dudes on that team. And they weren't really about the lifetime fitness, you know.
Older as in like crusty, seasoned, salty, bearded?
Yeah, but like good though. Like still like that.
Oh, I get it.
You know what I'm saying?
Type of guy, like Bosch.
Yeah,
type of fucking.
For sure.
I watch a lot of cop shows, bro.
Yeah, dude. Like that type of old dude, you know, like that had been around and been in a whole bunch of shit, had been UC before in their time.
So were you a cherry, like a new guy?
Oh yeah,
in their presence.
Yeah. So my first day I get there, man, and I'm like, so my buddy went down, the same guy that got it from Upland. Yeah. He went down 6 months before me.
Why?
Because they were still waiting for another spot to open.
Okay.
So he got there. He already knew some people and everything, man. And I walk in, I don't know anything, and I'm pulling in there, and I'm like trying not to crash because the cars are all parked in here, and they had one of the sergeants. He looked like Clint Eastwood, man. This dude was a hard-looking dude, man. So it's just intimidating. You walk in there, right. You know, everybody else has kind of got a little bit of facial hair already or long hair. I'm like trying to start growing a beard, but it's like not really, you know, growing out yet. So I still look like a straight cop, you know. So yeah, the first few days were pretty intimidating. And then you think, you know, like you're comfortable on patrol, right? Like, okay. I know what's up with this, you know, like I'm ready to go. Well, no, you don't know shit because it's a whole nother learning curve.
What is the learning curve?
Like developing cases from the ground up.
Okay.
Like, so me, I'm like, see bad guy, stop bad guy.
Right.
Oh, dope in the car. These are more like, hey, this house, we got a tip, this house is selling dope. We got to do some surveillance. We got to get a car stopped out of there. We got to see what's in that car. So we flip them and get that house dirty so we can get a warrant. So it was more, it wasn't just roll up and hit it. You know, you got to put some time into it.
So if we know that the drugs are coming from Mexico, right, and you're a narc cop in the IE, Inland Empire, what is your ultimate goal as far as the bad guy? How high up the chain are you trying to go?
As high as you can. I mean, because back in those days, so we had, it was a street level team, but we had a task force officer with the DEA. So if you got a certain quantity on a bus on a search warrant, he could actually write for a wiretap. I want to say the cutoff back then was 2 pounds of meth and 10 pounds of weed, and I forget what the heroin cutoff was. If you got a seizure above that, you could start to try to develop a wire investigation. So you just keep following it up as high as you can, you know.
As a narc cop street level, did it reach a certain point where you now have to hand off information to the DEA? And then they take over?
No, we never got to that point. It seemed like they were happy for us to just handle shit locally, you know. The DEA offices out there were pretty busy dealing with like the border stuff.
Oh, okay. Do you guys talk? Does the left hand talk to the right hand?
Not on that street level team really at all. No. Later on, I'll get to that, but that street level team was.
So street level cop, street level narcs. There is probably known drug houses, or even a regular civilian can be like, oh yeah, I'm pretty sure my neighbor sells dope. I always see fucking people on bikes go in and out. To the narc cop, what is that? Is it a target? Is it what is that in the chain of importance? Or what does that fall in?
It would depend on kind of like if we had anything else going on at the time. But if we got a tip like that, we start working it from the ground up. Okay. I mean, a lot of the patrol cops are probably like, yeah, that's dope house, bro. You know, like this bike's coming in and out of there. So we'd probably put a little surveillance in it. We'd run plates, see who they come back to the house. Oh, homeboy's on parole. Cool. Now we don't even need a warrant. You know, we just go hit the house on a parole search. So
let me ask you this. So wait a minute. If there's a house and a parolee enters that house, does that give you access to the house?
If he lives there.
If he lives there.
We have access to everywhere he has access to.
Okay.
Which is damn near everywhere, right? Because he's in the kitchen, he's in the bathroom.
Correct.
So that would be a case sometimes what we would do. We had 12 to 15 guys on the team back then. So
12 to 15.
And we had street level dope, Vice. We had
were you Vice?
UC for Vice. I wasn't a Vice detective, but I went UC on Vice. Yeah.
And how did you prepare yourself for the role for Undercover?
For the Vice?
Yeah, like how did you prepare yourself for Undercover? Did you read books, watch documentaries?
Well, I've seen the movies that we've all seen, you know, like Donnie Brasco and all that kind of stuff. But I didn't read anything, man. Like I went when I first got there, I wanted to contribute to the team. You know, I didn't have any informants. I didn't know what I was doing. And I remember they were saying, like, who's interested in going UC? And I'm like, who's interested in being a breacher? I'm just volunteering for everything, right? And I'm like, the where I grew up at, I grew up in a diverse area where I've been around cholos, you know. I've been around everybody. So in my mind, I thought, I think I could be good at this, you know. So once my beard got a little longer.
How long are we talking?
Dude,
longer than what it is right now?
Picture. Yeah, it's like down to here. Doesn't even look like me, but.
Were you portraying to be a Mexican gang member or a biker, or what was your?
That was the weird thing for me, bro, because I'm half Mexican, right? So I could fit in with both, but what I went for was like a biker look. So
you're half Mexican. What's the other half?
My mom's Mexican. My dad's white.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can kind of see that now that you mentioned that.
Yeah. And I got dark hair and all that, but so once I grew my beard long and I grew my hair out, I would get a dirty ass long sleeve Harley shirt with oil stains on it, some baggy ass pants, some beat up Chuck Taylors. And then my first time out, they sent a guy with me. They'd already been out a couple times, and he looked like a paisa. So we go hit the park, and we're walking around. Oh, they let us get one of the props we get to take with us is a tall can and a pack of smokes. So of course we go get the tall can, and we get the whatever the strongest one is, you know, 211 or whatever, and we're walking around. So that helps take the edge off too. And
what helps take the edge off?
The booze.
You're drinking alcohol?
On the op, yeah. We're allowed to drink a beer on the UC op.
Hold on. As an undercover cop, narc, you're allowed to consume alcohol?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, the policy says, I think, one beer.
So
doesn't say what size.
You said prop. When you said prop, I thought it was an empty beer, like a tall can.
Oh, right. Yeah, that was the running joke, is let's go get some props. But they weren't like they weren't actually props.
Fill me in on your jokes, bro. That's why I'm asking you these questions.
No, we would actually stop on the way, dude, and get
like 7-Eleven.
Yep.
And
or
pick up
the drive-through dairy, get a tall can of whatever beer is right there, get a pack of Marlboro Reds. I didn't even know how to smoke a cigarette, you know, so I'm not even inhaling or anything. But so we start walking around the park and just kind of, no one's seen you there, right? Like no one's ever seen me, for sure. The other dude had went UC a couple times in that park. And so I'm trying to, Undercover is more of a mindset than really a clothing anyways, you know. If you walk out there and you're all stiff and all that.
Yeah,
like,
looking around, fucking.
Like, it smells like bacon in this motherfucker,
Correct.
you know, like, so I just kind of walk around with a little swag and, you know, whatever. So my buddy goes, he speaks Spanish fluently, so he finds some other, like, paisa guy. He's like, hey, who's on deck for Scante or whatever, you know. He's like, you got to go over there on the other side of the park. So we start making our way over there. Well, now we get in the area where there's some gangbangers, you know, and those are the ones that are on deck with the dope. So I'm like, my partner's like, hey, bro, I'm done with my beer. Like, do you want it? I'm like, yeah, I'll take it. Drink his. And then so they come walk up to us, and this dude, I'll never forget, he was an OVS guy, or he might, you know, he was a Black Angel, and he had the horns tattoo on his forehead and everything. He said, hey, what are you guys looking for? I said, let me get a 20 white. He's like, all right, give me the money and I'll go down the street and grab it real quick for you. I don't know where I came up with this. I'm like, nah, fuck that, dude. Last time I got burned, you know, I don't let my money walk. Like, I'll wait right here. You go get it and come back. And I'm trying to punk this gangster, you know. And we had cover teams around. I had my 380 in my pocket, so like if shit really went sideways, I was all right. So he walks to this house, gets the dope, comes back and sells it to me. So now not only do we have him with hand to hand with the man, but now we have that house dirty because that's where he went and got the dope from. So we went and served a search warrant right after that at that house.
How long after?
They secured it almost immediately. Secured meaning right after I walk away and I'm wearing a body wire with my partner, I get on there and say, hey, we got a good deal, $20 worth of crystal. All right, cool. He went to 314 East Phillip Street to get it. So we're gonna go secure that location, freeze it, and get a search warrant. Freeze it means like everybody stays where they're at. You knock on the door, detain everybody while we go get a search warrant.
What happens to the individual that sold you the dope?
We went 10-15. We took him to jail.
At what point?
Like right away. They sent a marked black and white in and they come snatch him up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, like I want to know the process.
Yeah. So once I put out that it was a good deal, then they marked.
So you walk away,
get far enough away, get back.
But then now let me ask you this, man, because now they know your face, and now they know that after you bought that dope, the cops came and swooped. Doesn't that burn your cover?
That's why for every other op that we're doing, like if it's a search warrant or we wear ski masks. Now, I might be burned for a minute at that park just because, I got the dude with the black beard is the one, he blah, 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 or whatever. But so we'd like let it chill out for a little bit, and then we'd go to another park because there's plenty of parks where, they're selling dope, and we'd start.
Was it only parks?
Where we would send UCs was typically parks. I did do a cold knock at a house one time. A cold knock meaning me and my partner walked up because we heard this house was selling weed.
Yeah.
And it was a low-level weed sale house. So the supervision was okay with it because normally you wouldn't just walk up to a dope house that doesn't know you. They're like, what the fuck are you doing here? So we knock and we end up buying weed from this guy. Like, who sent you? You make up some fucking name. Luis. Luis who? I don't know, dude. Fucking Luis said I can come back here and get some chronic. So we did that once. But typically it was at parks.
Now, I would be under the impression that if I was a drug dealer from my location, I would know who's who, and I would have regular customers. I mean, if I didn't ever know you and you approach me, did you ever get that type of vibe where they're like, hey, who the hell are you?
A lot, yeah. They're like, hey, man, you a cop? Or like, they're doing like.
They ask where
you're from? Yeah, a lot. And we would have a story kind of made up. Yeah, like, hey, I'm actually not from here, dude. I'm from La Puente. I'm out here visiting my aunt, and just trying to score. I got this chick I'm trying to take to the hotel later, and you start kind of building a story, a rapport with them. And right off the bat, we wouldn't just start asking for dope. We'd kind of sit there, drink a beer, just kind of build a little rapport. And then you get to the point where you're like, hey, so, I can get some shit.
What about sketchy situations where you get pressed by gang members?
Yeah, so I'm trying to think. There was one, again, I look back now, and I was never scared when I did these, but now I look back, and I'm like, some of the decisions I made, I'm like, I should have probably been a little more scared than I was, But we had one. I had been on the team for a couple years already. I was the most experienced UC narc on that team. And we had a lady cop join us on our unit, and they wanted me to take her out her first day to go buy dope. And I'm like, all right. I was confident enough to where she could just kind of be quiet, act like my girlfriend or something like that. So we go to a park and we sit down at a table. Some guy walks up to us and starts making small talk with us. And I'm like, hey, do you know where I can get some white? He's like, I've never seen you guys around here before. I said, yeah, I'm not from around here. I played the story up. I'm here visiting my aunt, and this is my old lady. And I go to the side. I'm like, hey, I'm trying to take her to the hotel in a little bit, dude, but she wants to get high first. He's like, oh, all right. So he's like, give me a minute. So he walks away. Some other dude walks up. He's like, hey, and he looked like at one point he might have been a cholo, but he was washed the fuck up now. Like he was all shot out looking.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, you guys got 30 seconds to get out of this park. I never seen you fucking here before. And I was like, all right, bro, you got a stopwatch or what? Because I ain't fucking going anywhere. And then he walks away, and I'm like, let's see how this plays out. Because we had a covered van, you see cover vans all around, so if it goes down, they're going to come in. And he walked away and just never came back. So I called his bluff. Well, the initial dude came back with dope, and he did the same thing. He walked, the surveillance units watched him walk to a house, get it, come back, sell it to me, and then now we had that house, probable cause on the house for another search warrant. So yeah, it's fun, man. When you start doing stuff like that.
Did you ever personally enter the houses?
Yeah, that first one I was telling you about, where the OVS gangsters told me it.
Yeah,
I helped serve the warrant on that. I threw my balaclava on, suited up. They didn't have enough guys for the stick to hit it.
So. What are some things you see inside of a dope house? Scales, money, weapons.
You see, I mean, a lot of them, the ones we went into were just pigsties, man. Like, just trash everywhere, like a tweaker pad.
Okay.
Because these guys are selling like lower level amounts of dope, right? So we'd see like doggy pee pads on top of clothes, and
that's fucking disgusting, bro. I bet it smells in there.
Yeah, sex toys, bro.
Sex toys?
Yeah.
Wow.
Dude, it's
you ever see anything so fucked up where there's actually like kids living in these fucking dope houses?
No, I've been fortunate. I've never seen one.
I'm sure there are kids
living
in fucking dope houses.
Yeah, there hasn't been any like on scene when we've hit it.
Well, that's a good thing.
You see kids' toys there and stuff, so you're like, there's kids here at some point.
Right.
It's fucked up, But yeah, dude, there was sex toys all over these places. One time I took one, and the AR bag dump pouches.
Yeah.
I threw a dildo in my buddy's dump pouch. He didn't even notice it. He went all the way back to the station.
Oh, fuck. I would be pissed, bro.
He's like, what the hell?
Especially if I grabbed it without a glove, dude.
Those types of things were like normal pranks back in those days, though.
Really?
Yeah. Now they probably call HR and get me all wrapped up in a case or something. But
how many would you say during that time frame that area had a drug problem?
Yeah, definitely. They had cleaned up prior to me getting there. They had put a dent in the gang problem big time.
So they put a dent in the gang problem.
Yes. Yeah.
Through what? The RICO Act?
RICO. Yeah. They hit them with it was called Operations Wings Clipped. You heard of it?
No. What year or what was that one?
I want to say it was 05-ish.
Okay.
Where they were targeting the Black Angels. Because as far as I know, Ontario Black Angels.
I did hear about. I don't know details, but I did hear about that.
And I don't know a lot of details either because I wasn't there yet, so I was just kind of learning as I went. But they wrapped up a whole bunch of big homies because Ontario for a while had the most MA members. It's hard to believe out of all of Southern California. But Daryl Castrojón went disappearing. Ronnie Baiza, Tupi. There's a whole bunch of them. So when they hit that RICO, the whole gang thing just kind of shut down.
What about King Cobras?
King Cobras?
The gang.
I never heard of them.
Okay, because they're from that area.
Hispanic?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't heard of them. It was for us. It was OVS, which was like the minor leagues, Junior Black Angels, and then the Black Angels.
And you said you served on a wiretap or something like that?
Yeah. So
what was that about?
Yeah. So let's see. This is going to be about 2 years into my assignment on that street level team. One of the gang detectives said he had info that one of the MA guys, I can talk about it now. I want to say this case is closed out, but that his old lady was driving around town collecting taxes for MA. So we started doing surveillance. He was working with the HIDA team, the LA HIDA. They hit a couple warrants where they're getting.
What is that?
It's the high interdiction drug trafficking area.
Holy shit!
Yeah, it's hard for me to even remember, but yeah, it's just a task force.
Yeah,
and so they got enough to where they were up on a couple of wires listening to gang members' phone, and so we would do surveillance on this dude's chick driving around, and she would stop in all the hood spots.
It was a Mexican mafia member's wife, girlfriend,
girlfriend.
Okay,
yeah, and she would drive around all the dope spots, so
and collect money.
That's what we thought,
Okay.
I think in hindsight, I'm pretty sure she was, but when we served paper we served a search warrant on the MA guy's house, we didn't get nothing. So it might have been.
Where was he? Was he on the streets or was he incarcerated?
He was on the streets.
Okay.
Yeah, he lived.
You guys found nothing?
Nothing. And this guy was shot out, man, like still on heroin. He still had that big brocha stash, but he came out of the house like an old man, and I'm like, I don't know if this dude's still in the game or not, like, I don't know. But all her activities seemed like she was out collecting taxes, you know, and they had some phone calls and stuff, I think. That,
Interesting.
Yeah. It's tough to say, but it's funny because he's in that book with the Black Hand, you know. So some of the names of the guys I used to deal with are in that book.
Interesting.
Yeah. So there's a lot of history there in the gang, you know, world. It started in the 1950s and car club, and then so yeah, it's not what it used to be though.
I always hear the term informant, right? Informant. Can you break it down to me in layman's terms of what an informant is?
So you could have a signed up informant, which is someone who, there's a couple different ways. They're signed up as an informant to work off a case.
They're like on a payroll of some sort.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, they're on the file as, hey, if you provide us information that results in a seizure, we'll get rid of this case for you. All right.
Oh, shit. I heard what you're
It's
saying.
usually got to be either equal or more. All right. Let's say you got pinched with an ounce. Whatever information you give us has got to be at least an ounce,
Right.
and then we'll talk to the district attorney about getting rid of your case. So that's one. One, we used to call them mercs or mercenaries. They're informants that just want money. They're not fighting. They're not working off any cases. They just want to get paid. So they would get paid according to whatever their info led to. So that's
Now, are they previous or current criminals?
Yeah. There's
So like me personally, I don't have a fucking job, bro. Like, could I go to a police station and be like, I want to be a fucking informant, man? Basically, I'll be my own undercover fucking
if you know enough
in my own head.
I thought about doing that over there in Arizona where I was at. No, but no, they're plugged in still because people trust them.
Plugged in.
People trust them. Yeah.
So you said the first one, and then the mercs. Who else?
Yep.
What else?
Other than that, would just be an informant you talk to on patrol. You know,
What does that consist of?
so for me, one thing you got to remember is if someone's gonna give you information on patrol, if I'm just a patrol officer, I have no access to department funds or anything.
Right.
You got to make it clear to them. And what I would do is, look, if you want to give me this information out of the kindness of your heart, that's fine. But I can't pay you. I can't help you work off a case.
Right.
You're basically just a glorified neighborhood watch, you know? So, and some people, they're good with that, you know?
Now, do cops buy them like a cheeseburger or anything to kick them down? Or is just strictly, hey, bro, you're giving me information. Thank you.
Yeah, just strictly info. Because then you kick them a cheeseburger, the next week they want a family pack of chicken or something. You know, like it's
just a question. I don't know what the process is.
Yeah, I never have. I mean, I'm
I
sure.
know. I don't know what the process is.
Yeah, that's the key if you're going to work informants on a patrol level.
Like the movie Training Day, bro. You fucking Alonzo brings the toaster to the hood.
Yeah. Taking care of my informant who's locked up in Pelican Bay or whatever. Yeah. No, I'm sure that's gone on, you know.
Probably has.
But yeah, that was the one thing that was real clear is I didn't want anybody thinking like this guy thought he was getting something out of this.
So I am huge on morals and ethics. Huge. I have heard numerous times where there are law enforcement agents that do not give a shit about the informant's life, meaning, yeah, we'll burn this dude's cover. I don't give a fuck. Knowing he's going to result in death. Mm-hmm. What's your stance on that?
No, we didn't play like that, like at all. Like, yeah, that was.
But do you know what I'm getting at?
Yeah. And I have heard of certain teams operating that way. But that was one of those things with us. It was like if there was any chance at all of burning this informant, we just put the op down. It's just dope. You know, like we got this guy killed, you know. Right. So if we did, like for instance, if we did a CI buy, so if we had an informant go to a house and buy dope from a house and bring it back to us saying, yeah, I bought the dope from there. They're body wired up, everything. Now we have probable cause to search that house. But we would wait. There's like a 10-day window, right? We get the paper signed by the judge and we'd wait.
Well, and by then more customers will come through and it's just, you can't pin it on that dude.
Yep. And then there's a wall. You wall all that information off your report. So it's not discoverable unless it's an in-camera hearing.
So you wall off of that information.
I'm sorry, not wall. The word is Hobbs.
Hobbs?
Hobbs. So you cut out, like you'd have the information there for a probable cause, but you'd cut out the buy part and it goes into a separate sealed memo. That way the defense attorney can't get a hold of it.
So the defense attorney cannot get a hold of it?
It has to be a special in-camera hearing with the judge without the defendant not present because...
Is there ever mistakes?
I'm sure there is. I mean, you know, the court system, I don't know, man.
Oh, bro, speaking of fucking mistakes, man, did you recently see on YouTube, you had I think it just happened. You had a judge, it was like a Zoom call, and then you had an inmate, and he goes, hey, sir, before we get started, I just want to say I'm an informant. And the judge is like, oh, wait, man. Like he gave himself up, and he was in jail.
No, I didn't see that.
And the judge was like, hey, dude, you're on a live video right now, man. And the
no, I didn't
was
see
like,
that. Dummy. He probably had a PC up after that, huh?
Mandatory, bro.
Holy moly, dude.
Mandatory, bro.
It's just so eager, too, like proud of it. Hey, I'm an informant. I'm an informant.
That's the difference, man.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. But yeah, we went out of our way to protect them, you know?
Yeah.
Because one way you can burn them for sure is like you tell him, go buy dope from that dude. And then like you jam him up while he's with the dude or something like.
Does that happen? Or
no,
is that
we never did that.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think theoretically you could probably throw cuffs on both of them and make it seem like.
Because that's what I've seen in the movies.
Yeah. The
right?
movies do that a lot. We
movies.
never did that. And I don't know if other agencies do. I just know like Ontario didn't roll that way, you know. So that was. And then you build rapport with your informants when they know like, hey, we're going to do our best to keep you out of harm's way. There's never a perfect scenario. I mean, because they tell people, problem with informants, they'll tell their old lady like, yeah, I'm working with the police, and then she tells somebody. And
from your perspective, do you believe these informants are doing it out of the kindness of their heart, or they're trying to get time off of their sentence, charges dropped?
Well, the ones that are working off a case, they're definitely doing it to get their charges dropped.
Okay.
If they're working off a case. The other highly driving force for these would be getting paid. The ones that are just completely doing it out of the kindness of their heart, no case, no money, no nothing. I mean, I think they probably exist, but it's probably going to be somebody who's more likely trying to clean up their street. Like,
okay,
you know what I mean? Yeah. Where they may not be really that well plugged in. They might just be like, I think this house is selling. Or
what is the career lifespan of an informant?
Man, we had one on the books. So I got there in 2015. There was one that was on the books since '95.
Oh fuck you.
Yeah, he had 4 hash marks on his sleeve, dude. I'll throw this out there because some people will know what I'm talking about. But yeah, they call this.
Is he alive?
I don't know.
Man, I might have to bleep that out, bro. What if he's still on the fucking? What if he's no?
I don't know.
It's too late.
Forrest Gump or something like that. Yeah.
Damn, dude. So you had mentioned an officer involved shooting. When did that transpire in your career?
So in 2012, I was still in Upland on patrol, and we had a homicide that took place in the southeast part of the city, which bordered Ontario, and we didn't have a person of interest ID'd or suspect ID'd or anything, but they thought it was a gang related thing, and Ontario came up and shot this dude. So I'm over there roaming around that area where the homicide took place. It's not even in my beat. And I'm driving down the street and I see a dude on a little BMX bike, you know, paddling with the girl, and I can see the back of his head just blasted with the tats, and he's got like the whole cholo get up, man. So he sees me and he dips down the street and starts hitting the sidewalk. The girl goes somewhere else, so I get behind him. I turn on my lights and the pursuit's on. So he starts dipping through alleys, up and down north-south alleys. Eventually ditches the bike, gets out on foot. So I get out on foot pursuit of him. He runs over 2 walls and then comes to a short wall behind an apartment complex. Well, I see him put his bike down. No, not his bike, like pulling his pants up or whatever. He's looking over the wall, looks back at me, and then jumps the wall. So I get up to the wall, you know, and I'm approaching it slowly because I don't know what's on the other side of that, you know. So I'm looking over.
Was it a brick wall?
Yeah, a brick wall. And I look over it, and the wall where I'm at, it's only about 3 feet, but there's like a 20-foot drop on the other side. So I look down, and he's there on the ground, and I can't tell if he rolled his ankle or he's hurt or what. So I got my gun out, and I'm like, you know, show me your hands, show me your hands. Well, as I'm yelling that, he grabs his waist and starts going like this, and he's got a pistol in his waist. So I opened up on him. I didn't even have time to find front sight or anything like that. I just started shooting. What
was it? A 3-foot wall? What was the 20-foot drop? Like what was?
So it was like leading into a separate corridor for apartments. So there was like a breezeway. So he jumped over the wall for one apartment complex, and then he ended up in like the courtyard of another one.
He more than likely ate shit when he hit the bottom.
Yeah, he had to. It was like a 15-foot drop.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm thinking I don't want to jump this wall with him because then I'm gonna mess myself up,
Right.
and so I'm keeping him at gunpoint, waiting. I know units are coming. I could hear sirens and everything, and so I'm sitting there waiting, and then all of a sudden I see him turn like this, and he's got a pistol right here. You know, he gets it about not even all the way out of his waistband, and I fired off 10 rounds at him.
Downwards.
Downwards from the top of the wall.
So like basically like bird's eye view.
Mm-hmm. But like not straight down, but like pretty.
Oh, okay, kind of like angled a little bit.
Yep. And I swear it was like the Matrix, man. Like
Why?
I could see the bullets going. Like it was like they're splashing through water, you know. And I'll never forget. I saw one go right by his head, and he limped off. And I'm like, I didn't know if I hit him or if he was limping from jumping the wall.
Right.
So I put out his direction of travel, and they end up finding him. So my sergeant rolls up and he's counting the case. And he's like, "Damn, you fired off 10 rounds." I'm like, "I was just squeezing, man." You know, like. So he's like, they find him a couple blocks down trying to get into a house, banging on the door. Let me in, let me in. Blah, blah, blah. He fights with the police, gets kind of, use of force happens. He tells them that he got hit in the leg. The fire department checks him. They don't find any bullet wounds. So he gets booked.
Was he in possession of a handgun?
So we went back to where he jumped. He had a toy pistol that he left right there. And he had gloves and a ski mask. So what I think is I interrupted him. There was a liquor store right there. He was going to go do a 211 on a robbery on the liquor store. So he ended up getting 3 years in Corcoran for brandishing an imitation firearm and resisting arrest, and he was also a parolee at large. So he got 3 years. So I ended up getting a letter from U.S. Marshals one day, and I open it up, and it's handwritten, and it's got like that Cholo calligraphy. It's like perfect little letters and everything. I'm reading it, and I'm like, I'm reading it, and he's saying, I can't sleep at night because I could hear bullets going past my head because this officer shot at me for no reason. I have PTSD. So I take it to my watch commander, and I'm like, hey, I guess I'm being sued. He's like, no, this ain't how you do it. Like, he has to go through the city attorney. Like, he can't just write you directly. And I'm like, all right, cool. So I still got that letter in my house. But
you said U.S. Marshals.
I came from the U.S. Marshals Service or something. It was I'm pretty sure it was U.S. Marshals envelope.
So basically, he wrote you a letter.
Just a straight handwritten letter telling me he was suing me. Yeah.
Wait a minute. How did he know your information? Or did
he sent it to the PD?
He did?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm like, me being kind of new, I'm like, is this how you get sued? Like, this seems weird, He's like, no, this ain't the process. Like,
nah. You're going to get called into like a legal, like your department will have like a legal department to say, come in, you got to sign. You're being sued.
Yeah.
Again?
I'm like looking at it, and I give it to the watch commander, and he's like, "No, just take it home and put it in your shadow box one day, bro. He can't see you like that." Yeah, so that was the only time I've been in a shooting. I've been close to it a few other times, but he was an OVS Ontario gangster.
Was he?
Sunkiss is a big street block out there. Just blasted with that on him. And
what type of mentality is needed for a police officer to be out on the streets?
I mean, in my opinion, you need to be aggressive. Like, yes, you have to wear more than one hat. You have to be able to turn that off if you need to go talk to a little kid or take a report. But I was always default aggressive because I could turn that off, but it's really hard to get up to that level if you're not mentally and physically prepared for it.
Right. So a civilian watching this with no experience might think, "Oh, aggressive. No, we need less aggressive cops." So can you elaborate on what you mean by that?
Yeah. So and in this speed and corrections, if you set the tone right away, you can avoid a lot of use of forces.
Facts, dude.
If you get out of the car, and I would do this, and especially if you're in shape. If you get out of the car and they look and they're like, this dude's filling out his sleeves and he looks like he can run, he's not going to go running nowhere. And the way you approach him too, like, hey, sit down, cross your legs. This is the way I would
command presence.
Command presence. And they're like, all right, this dude ain't messing around. And then what I did, so that stops a lot of problems, because as soon as they start thinking they could take an inch, they're going to try to get a mile.
Bro, I don't understand how these new officers, right? And it's not a stereotype, but don't understand that concept. They're making their fucking job harder for themselves by being weak and feeble.
Yeah.
it's like these suspects are just feeding off of that.
Yeah, I think a lot of it I blame the media, man, because the way they demonize cops for a while, and cops are like scared to be aggressive or something, and I don't know, man. But to me, it's like
Does it seem mind-boggling to you?
Completely mind-boggling. Like, I mean, I can't wrap my head around it because you're in one of the most dangerous professions that you could do. I mean, and you're out here like trying to do verbal judo for like 2 hours. Like, this dude should have already been wrapped up in the clink. Like, what are we doing? Like, you know.
Now, I need to ask you this, man, because you said it. You said a lot of these cops are afraid of the backlash they're going to get from their departments, getting terminated, getting put under investigation, fear of the media. But the other alternative is getting killed.
Yeah.
So how do you see it?
Well, it started when body cams started coming out and all that. We wore audio recorders when I first started, so we were supposed to turn on a Puma audio recorder. And I saw a lot of guys start to get timid, or they wouldn't be proactive anymore. They would hide. And in my mind, I'm thinking, if I'm doing everything right,
correct,
I got nothing to hide. You know, we used to call it lawful but awful. I'm doing everything right. It might not look good.
I like that, dude.
It's lawful but awful.
I like that.
It has to be done.
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, and to the general public, they might be like, well, he didn't have to do that.
He didn't have to punch him in the face like that. Well, yeah, he did, because by him punching him in the face, he actually stopped it.
It stopped the whole problem. You know, and I one of my buddies growing up, his dad was LAPD smash unit. Or crash unit.
Smash unit, huh?
Crash. Smash was the sheriff's part.
Okay.
Yeah. No, he was LAPD crash at Newton, shooting Newton out in LA, right? Which is South Central Hood.
Yeah.
And he said, you overcome resistance with extreme violence.
Overwhelming violence.
Overwhelming violence, all right? So dude pulls away, handle it quick, be done. The whole Rodney King stuff and all that, why'd that happen? Because there's a whole bunch of ineffective baton strikes, right? That's what that was. If one dude would have came in there and took charge and wrapped him up and put him in the car, or George Floyd, hook him up, put him in the car.
Correct, because there was another incident. Like I think the East Coast or the Midwest, where these cops were just beating the shit out of this guy.
Mm-hmm.
He ended up dying, I believe. And I was thinking, fuck, nobody went in there with the handcuffs and just slapped the fucking handcuffs on him.
It could be, in a lot of the guys that use force too much like that are the ones that are scared.
Correct.
Because they get hyper, like all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, I don't know what to do.
Condition black.
Exactly. They
or just like shitbags.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And that's when you'll see like they go from 0 to 1,000 because they weren't mentally prepared for that. So now they're like their fight or flight's kicking in. You know what I mean? Instead of you being like
cool, calm, and collected.
Yeah. I always had the idea like, as soon as I'm allowed to use force, I'm using it. All right. As soon as they give me a reason to, I'm using it.
It's because you have a understanding of your use of force policy, the law, your ability, and you're right. As soon as that person takes it there, then he took it there.
Then you're done. Yeah.
It's easy, huh?
It's easy.
It almost seems like a really easy concept.
It is, you know, and I don't know if what causes the current, not all of them like we said, but what causes the current breed of officer not to understand that. Because I was like always, well, I want to solve this quickly. I don't want to be out here wrestling this guy for forever, you know. And then
because there's multiple reasons why you don't want to wrestle a guy forever.
No, you don't. And then on the same time, you're setting the tone for future contacts. It's like last time I stood up to that dude, he fucked me up. Like not like, you know, he
I hear what you're saying.
He dealt with the problem quick. Like I'm not gonna mess with Hall, but that dude over there, he looks like I could probably get away with something, you know. So you're setting the tone, and then what do you think he's gonna do? He's gonna go tell his homeboys.
Absolutely.
Hey, if you see Hall, dude, like mind your P's and Q's, because you know it just the word spreads, and you're gonna avoid a lot of stuff. I mean, I probably had a lot of guys that would have taken off running on me or tried to square up, but they didn't, you know.
Because, well, from your experience, do you believe these criminals and suspects, do you believe they size officers up?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's
Did you size criminals up?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I remember right when I get out of the car, there's like this little moment in time where you're both sizing each other up.
Oh, is there?
Like, yeah, that's the way I felt about it. You know? And especially when I started lifting more, you know, because then you get out and your uniform's a little tighter, and all of a sudden they're like, dang, bro, like, you know, want to have a push-up contest? Or like they'll joke around with you like that. And but I've seen it happen to like small female cops or really thin cops that look like they could need to put on some weight or whatever. You could just see them, dude, and those like even sucking their teeth at these guys, you know. We don't know what that means. Like, that's old school. Like, that's a sign of disrespect.
Correct.
You know? So, yeah, I've seen it, and it can go both ways. You can get out of the car and you can command presence, or you can get out and they're like, I'm going to walk over this dude.
What advice do you have for the law enforcement officer that is afraid to do their job, afraid to act, and not knowledgeable in the environment that they're actually in?
Either learn the policy, be comfortable with it, and then get comfortable with that level of aggression, or get out. Because that's if you try to walk the fence and baby foot around everything, you're going to get yourself hurt or someone else hurt, or the suspect, because now it's escalated because you didn't handle it right away. So learn the policy, be comfortable with it, be in shape, know how to use all your weapon systems, your personal weapons, and when the opportunity comes, use them.
Is the profession of police officer a job or a career?
Career, 100%. And not every agency treats it like that. You know, I walked in some and I'm like, this just looks like a group of security guards or something. I don't even know what this is. You know, like there's none of that prestige. Like, I remember walking in the station and I'm just like, man, this is cool. Like, my uniform looks good. I'm around a bunch of guys like that have been here for a while. There's that level of respect. We hold ourselves to like a higher level, and you feel proud about it. I kind of see that going away, and everybody just kind of shows up and, all right, let's go punch the clock. Let's see what's on Netflix, you know. And it just, I don't know what's going to need to take to turn that all the way around, but
maybe a couple more podcast episodes, bro. I'm thinking, getting the truth out there, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for, man. And again, I'm not. There's a lot of good ones out there.
Correct.
You know, I'm not trying to demean anything that they're doing. But
is that when they're watching this, they're going to understand what you're speaking.
Yeah, and if you're doing everything right, you cannot operate in an area where you're afraid to be sued. You just can't. Or the district attorney is going to not file this case. If you're doing everything you're doing right, you're going to be okay. You might end up in a couple IAs.
Yeah, I mean, it comes with the territory.
It comes with the territory. I was told once, if a cop that doesn't get complaints is not a good cop, because you're gonna drum up some complaints if you're out being proactive and doing police work.
At any point in your career, did you have to wear a body worn camera?
Yeah, when I went to Ontario, they when I lateraled to Ontario in 2017.
So after your narc time, you went lateraled over to Ontario.
Yep.
Did that body worn camera prevent you from doing your job?
No, not at all. And the hardest part was just getting used to turning it on, because you hop out of the car on like a critical incident, and the last thing you think of at first is
right.
Eventually, you get the muscle memory, and it didn't change anything. It's been said, the body cam helps cops more than it does. You know, a correction officer, it helps more.
Absolutely. Evidence preservation, and it's a great training tool.
And it's great for like going back and writing your report, you know, because sometimes the fog of war, I'll use that term lightly because I know you actually were in war.
The department, the California Department of Corrections, you have to write the report first, then you could review the body worn camera.
Yeah, no, we go back and watch it 1,000 times.
Like that.
Yeah. And so that's a big part too, because you remember things that the suspect did or you did that you can articulate it, because when that gets played in court, they're gonna be like, well, you hit this dude 5 times, but you only put down 3 or whatever it is. So
have you had to do the whole court process?
Oh yeah.
How was that for you?
I just treated it like a game, man. I get up there and
would they try to break you down?
There's a couple of the public defenders that would go hard in the paint, dude.
They do go hard in the paint?
Man, like for grammar, they'd be like, right here, you said "and," but there's no comma. Like, did you mean to put a comma there? And I'm like, what does it have to do with what does that have to do with anything? Or just a typo, or so they try to make you look dumb up there. You just got to be professional, answer everything. For me, it was always yes or no. If they want you to expand more, then they'll ask more questions. Guys get in trouble on the stand is they start talking too much, and no one's even asked them this question, and they're explaining the next part of the investigation. So I was always taught yes or no. I try to keep it light. If I can throw a little joke in there to like light.
Really?
Well,
I wouldn't fucking joke on the stand.
There's a crowd in there. You got to keep the people entertained, bro. You can't just go in there all serious.
I just want to get the fuck out of there as soon as possible, dude. Ask me my question.
I was nervous as hell the first time. Then after that, I'm like, this feels like a game to me. Like the public defender's trying to play me. There's some new deputy district attorney that looks like they barely got out of law school. They're not objecting to anything. So I'm going to sit up here and I'm going to answer questions and relax. And worst case scenario, it's usually a preliminary hearing. they'll be held to answer or they'll throw the case out, only went to one jury trial. So it's, but yeah, I was in court a lot. If you're making an arrest, you're going to be in court like quite a bit.
How demanding or taxing is the profession of police officer to include working, forced overtime, and court?
It's pretty demanding because, especially if you're an aggressive, proactive cop. I mean, you're gonna be getting subpoenas all the time, right? And so if you're on your days off, you might have to go to court. The shift work, which I mean, it's like graveyard's brutal. If you got a family, like you're coming home in the morning, they're going to school, like it's tough, man. And then you add in if you're on a special detail, like I mean, now you're all over the place. I'm in LA, then I'm in Victorville, now I'm in Paris. Like it's all over the place. So
how important?
Got to have a strong system at home.
Which brings me to my next question: how important is physical and mental health?
It's paramount. So they go hand in hand to me because I've been on both sides of this. For the first few years of my career, I was kind of taking care of fitness wise, but then I just started drinking on my days off, and I'm like, okay, well, I've seen how this goes. I've seen plenty of cops to 3, 4, 5 divorces. I don't want to be that guy. I'd already been with my wife for a lot of years dating and then married, so I realized I need to turn this around. But if you don't take care of your mental health and physical health, you're going to turn to another vice, whether that's usually.
Oh shit! I was going to say sex addiction.
That too, dude.
Real quick before,
Yeah.
I mean, fuck, you did the little massage parlors you did?
Yeah.
What the hell was that about, bro?
Yeah, I almost forgot about that too. I told you, man, I got a lot of stories, dude.
Because you said you turned to another vice. I actually thought sex addiction, bro.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I'm not a fucking pervert or anything, but
No, yeah. So I don't even know if they call it the vice unit now. I don't know, but so we had massage parlors in town that were dirty, and it was known that they
what
were dirty.
area?
On Holt Boulevard.
No, not what area, bro. Like what city?
Oh, this is when I was in Ontario.
Okay.
Yeah. So there was several massage parlors in town that
Happy endings.
happy endings, right? So again, they're like, he wants to go UCA massage parlor, So I'm like, all right, how does this work? All right, so you wear a body wire. When you go in, slap $20 on the table right when you walk in. Now they know like you're not there for just a massage, because that's not how you pay for a massage. And then they're like, I was like, well, so when do I how do I let you guys know to come in, or like what's the get down on this? And like, well, as soon as the massage therapist does something that's not part of a traditional massage, they go anywhere near your junk at all, that's not a normal massage, right? Have you had a normal massage? Yeah. All right. So if she starts going, down yonder, you got to give the bus signal. So we had a bus signal that I would say over the wire, and the team would come in.
Abracadabra.
No, it was. I've been waiting for this all day.
No way, bro.
Yeah,
I've been waiting for this
all
all day, bitch.
All day. So, dude,
get out.
dude, one time I said it, and she looked at me like, I guess I said it kind of weird or loud. She looked and she knew.
She knew?
I think she knew I was giving a signal.
Was she Asian?
Brazilian or something.
No way, dude.
Yeah. So next thing you know, you're fully naked too, right? Let me back up. So you go in there, you lay down naked with a towel over you.
Wait a minute, you said you're wired though. How?
The wire, you leave it in your jeans, stack them right next to you. So you could, back then the wires were not like body wires anymore. It was like a little iPhone.
Yeah.
So you say it loud enough for that wire to pick it up. Well, she heard me say it, and I guess she figured someone was up, tried to grab my junk. So now I'm like sitting there like tug of war with my junk, bro, and the team's coming in, and I'm like, I don't want to be in here naked when all these fools come in here. So she takes off, bolts around the down the hallway, and I'm trying to get dressed real quick. I'm like, hey, she took off down the hallway. I don't know what she thought, like I was gonna cancel them coming in or something if she grabbed me or what, but yeah, I did quite a few of those massage bars like that.
So who gets booked? The lady?
So the ultimate goal is, so she gets booked for prostitution.
God damn.
The ultimate goal is to find who's running the shop and then book them on a pimping and pandering charge.
So now would that be called like human trafficking?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that takes a lot of investigative work because you have to prove that they knew what was going on and the money proceeds and all that. It gets kind of in depth.
So as a regular civilian, I see people smoking crack on the fucking streets, fucking slamming fentanyl, hookers, homeless. Why is it that a cop cannot stop that type of behavior?
They can. I mean, it would depend on. A lot of times, it's going to depend on how busy they are. I mean, if they have a call volume that's pretty stacked up and they're priority calls, they're probably going to turn a blind eye to that. You know, you would almost need a city like San Diego should have a proactive team that's all they do, which they may. I don't know.
So that's the question that I was asking is like, is it like a busy thing? Is it just the manpower or?
It could be that, or I mean,
hours.
In all honesty, it could be a lazy thing too.
Lazy thing?
It could be a lazy thing. You know, if they do calls holding.
Can it be like picking and choosing which crime priority?
Yeah, well, if you're talking they're actually in the act of using dope, like that's pretty.
I guess what I'm trying to say is it humanly feasible for police officers to stop all this type of behavior?
Stop all of it? No, I don't think it's feasible. Just because, unless you would need a separate team to handle all these problems like this, and then let's say you do go clean all these dudes up. What are they going to get in California? A ticket and be right back out. I mean, the ink's on.
No, you know what they're gonna get in California, bro? Fucking methadone, syringes, Narcan.
Yep. So now it's like, I think that discourages cops too, right? Because it's like, why am I gonna go book this dude and spend 2 hours at wherever the county jail is here, and then my beats go into shit, and all of a sudden now this guy's back. That dude gets back to my beat before I do. You know what I mean? Like, so I think that discourages cops too, because it's like, I'm not fixing anything. Now, before Prop 47 hit, it was different, man.
Were you on the job? Were you on the job when all these laws changed?
Mm-hmm.
How the fuck was that for you, man?
It was weird because
AB 109. Did you see a change out on the streets?
Yeah, I was out there when PRCS hit, when the post-release community supervision. And
what did you see? More parolees?
Yeah, you saw parolees, and you couldn't get holds on them or for anything, right? So you saw a guy that was on parole, but it was like, oh, it's a non-violent, it's a non-sexual offense. Right. I'm like, so I call their agent. I'm like, yeah, but this dude's got a bunch of dope, and he's causing problems with her. Yeah, we can't buy it. We can do a 10-day flash hold, maybe. So I call him back. No, we can't do that either. I'm like, well, so what's the point? Like, what's PRCS then?
How did that make you feel?
It was like, it was a turning in the tide for me, man. I'm like, all right, is this the way we're going here? Like, what's next? You know, like I didn't know what, like, so I'm gonna still go out and try to find dope, but now I'm like, I'm not really looking for warrants or anybody that's on PRCS anymore. Like, I'm trying to put new cases on dudes, because I know if I come up with if I got a new case on a guy, then, you know.
During your time in the profession, did you notice a change in the generation between gangster or doper?
Yeah, so the traditional cholo look, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, demeanorisms.
Yeah. It started
mannerisms.
Changing. Yeah, it started like when I first started, it was still like that old school like Dickies, white shirt,
90s
shaved head,
fucking cholo.
Yeah, and then it turned into like skinny jeans, Edgar looking dudes that are supposedly cholos, but it was almost more like a tagger vibe that they were putting out. And then OVS was still, Ontario Vario Sul, was still doing active, but it sounds like these kids were all on dope, and none of the stuff they were doing was sanctioned by anybody above them. They're out thinking they're putting in work,
right?
But it's not like work that's going to count. You know what I mean? Like, if anything, they're making the big homies mad. Like, what are you guys doing? Like, it's stupid. Like, we don't tag. Like I'm seeing OVS tagging around now, and they never tagged. I was like, that's beneath us. That's you know. So that was a change for sure. You know, and I think with that RICO Act I was talking about earlier, that really stomped a lot of that out.
Put the nail in the coffin.
The ones that are still around, they moved out of the city. All the Ontario Black Angels, you see them in the high desert. You see them.
Is that area relatively safe for a family to live in?
Mm-hmm. I actually lived there.
Okay, I
lived there for a while. Yeah, so it's getting better and better too. I mean, they're building more houses down by where the dairy farms used to be. The gang problem is really nothing like it used to be. Like, not at all. It was barely even still around when I was there.
I used to go to the Ontario Mills skate park, the van skate park.
Oh yeah, I remember that one. Yep. Yeah, the Mills. Ontario's a great PD, man. I'll go ahead and plug them. I have no problem with it.
Good.
I would have never left that police department if it wasn't to go take care of my mom. They got everything. They're
nice, dude.
Top line equipment, all the assignments you could ever want. but you know, you go there and work though. They don't need no lazy people.
No lops.
No station slugs.
So what is it that you're doing now, man?
So I'm retired now, a little earlier than was planned, but
Yeah.
I'm doing some online fitness training.
Nice.
Just trying to help cops mainly. You know, that's where my passion is, because I know how easy it is to get out of shape. Working
Right.
the shift work and the eating in the car, the fast food, all that stuff, man. So that's what I'm doing now.
How can people reach out to you, dude?
So I have my Instagram, which is the.narrow.path. So I'm sorry, the.path.narrow.
The narrow path.
The narrow path. Yeah, there's a lot of periods in there.
Yeah.
Instagram makes you do all this weird stuff, but yeah, hit me up on there. I post a lot of stuff too. Like I'll post old big dope seizures from when I was on that major.
I saw those pictures.
Yeah, I'll post majors, narcotic seizures and stuff like that, and then just kind of put my story in there. So, and yeah, just reach out to me on there. And yeah, but I was doing that while I was still a cop, I was doing that, you know.
Helping out other cops get in shape. And
yeah, and it was cool watching that, you know, because now their uniforms loose on them. And
you can see their confidence come back.
Yeah, yep. And I think a lot of people just think that it's like something they can't do or unattainable. You know, it's not, man. If I can do it, then anybody can do it. A couple little adjustments to your diet and you're good.
I agree, dude.
100%. That's all it is. So
cool, man. Well, I want to thank you, dude, for making the trip out here and sharing your experience, bro. I learned a lot, dude. I learned a lot about being a cop.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'll come back, man. I appreciate you having me, man.
We'll do a round 2, man.
Yeah, we'll make the next one be the major narco version.
Cool, for sure.
I got some stories there for sure.
Hell yeah. Well, there you guys have it, folks. Another banger for you guys. If you like what you saw, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Love you guys. Keep pushing forward.
Unhinged mind, Hector's legend engraved. Living life raw, never been tamed. From the hood to the pen, truth and tales bend. Hector Bravo unhinged, story never ends.